How's it going? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the podcast. If this is your first time as a listener, thank you for joining us. If you're a reoccurring listener, thank you for joining us once again. If the subject and the contents of coaching, leadership, and team is something that you're passionate about and resonates with you, think this channel is a great fit, think this podcast is a great fit. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Have a great day. How's it going? This is Keanu Yamamoto with the Coachers Podcast, in here with Coach Samson Anguay, wide receiver coach for Central Washington University. Coach, thanks for jumping on. Please tell us about your family, journey, background, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Super happy that you had me. Samson Anguay, born and raised from Hawaii. Went to Campbell High School, graduated class 2010. Played for the University of Hawai from 2011, 2016. The coaching journey for me really started right after I got done playing. I was coaching at Pro City High School for about a good 2 to 3 years. Left to the mainland so I can go play some arena football. It didn't work out the way I wanted to, so I started coaching when I was living in Georgia. I was coaching at a prep school out there. Came back to Hawaii right before the COVID hit, where I met my wife, Courtney Anguay. Started doing my own wide receiver training, one-on-one training. And from there, I built my own 7-on-7 team, Team Icy 808. Then from there, I went back to the ranks, coaching high school again at Pro City High School to coach with my dad. Then when Timmy Chang got hired his first year at University of Hawaii, I ended up interning at the University of Hawaii. After that first season, I got hired at Southern Oregon University as a wide receivers coach, where I spent 2 years. And this past season where I ended up was at Idaho State. I was the recruiting coordinator and a wide receivers assistant. And then now I'm here. Now I'm at Central Washington University in good old Ellensburg, Washington, running the wide receiver room.
So you just walked us through your journey. I know we crossed paths. I think it was at a Sac State camp some years ago, and I think you just first started off at Southern Oregon, and it's kind of cool to hear, your journey and everything that you've been through. But just, can you kind of talk about just the sacrifices and the decision-making process that you and your family have to go through, to embark on, this dream and this passion of yours?
Man, first off, thank the Lord and thank God for my wife. I mean, she has sacrificed way more for me to live this dream than I could ever imagine, especially with her and our 2 boys.
How old are your boys?
Ezekiel is 5, going on 30. He's very smart. And then my son Zion is 2. He's going to be 3, but man, he's built like a fullback, and I hopefully and pray that he's taller than his mom and dad for sure. Our 5-year-old's close. It's pretty close. I'm not the tallest. I'm about 5'7". But I mean, the sacrifices, when you have a go-getter wife who is just so passionate about supporting, your dream, where it was, at the high school. I was working security, I was teaching, and I was coaching, which took a lot of time and sacrifice away from my wife and my kids, especially 7-on-7, like the travels and organizing all of that was super, super stressful. I had a great team mom. Her name is Ann Barba. She's amazing. And then when I went to intern, right, as you intern and volunteer, you don't get paid anything. So my wife was holding it down at home, and, my in-laws and my parents were helping out a lot. I was making $0. Right. And she just said, you got a dream, you got an opportunity to go take it. And then when it was all said and done in Hawaii, I remember like 3 weeks after, I was kind of like, man, hopefully they put me back on, or I find an opportunity. And when Southern Oregon called, because of the ties that I had there, my Hanai brother played there, Bronson Ader. He played at Southern Oregon, so that's my Hanai brother. When they gave me the call, I told her the news, and she was like, when are we leaving? And I went, whoa, snap. Like, we're going to talk about it. She's like, nope, you have a chance to go run a room. You're going to get paid. I don't care what the pay is. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. So, moving a lot takes a lot of time and planning. And my wife did all the timing and planning, which, hey, hats off to the rock of the family. But, after we spent 2 years in Ashland, where we met a lot of great people, Idaho State called, my connection with Cody Hawkins. And she was like, okay, how far is Idaho? 11 hours. Perfect. We'll drive it. And I'm like, whoa. So my mother-in-law and my wife and my 2 kids had the U-Haul and our van from Hawaii. That was in Oregon, and they drove it 11 hours while I had to leave again for about 3, I would say 3, maybe about a month, and we made it happen. So I would say the biggest sacrifice, man, I'm a huge dad. I'm a huge dad guy. And, being away from your kids, like me being away from my kids for even a week, I don't know what to do in my life, right? Because that's the biggest blessing, especially being away from my wife, where, when you go home, you have that comfort, that one person that just understands your frustration sometimes in coaching or just anything in life. Like, I was away from them for 3 months when I went to Southern Oregon, 4 months when I was in Idaho. And, thank the Lord that Ellensburg and Idaho is not that far in Pocatello. So, I was only away for like 3 weeks. So, but I think the more bigger sacrifice is that, financially, right? Like, you have a dream, and sometimes, you have to look at it where, like, you have to remind yourself that coaching isn't about the money. It's about why you do it. It's why, why you're passionate. And I just also think that, like, my wife reminds me every day that we do it for the kids, right? Because eventually the money will come and the money will show up in any way, shape, or form that God wants you to do it. And, the biggest sacrifice I think you make for this game of football is that it always repays you back. So
Oh, that's good stuff, Coach. I just had Coach Lange on. I got the GA for Coach Lange at Oregon State. Now he's the defensive line coach at UCLA. And one of the things he said towards the end of our conversation was your why has to be bigger than the paycheck if you want to be successful in this business and last a long time in this business. So let's dive into that just a little bit more. Like, why do you love coaching? Why are you passionate about coaching?
I've just been very blessed and fortunate to have football in my life forever. I'm passionate because I've had coaches who don't just say they care, they show they care. A lot of coaches saved my life in dark times and reminded me that football is a kid's game and we got to have fun. And I think why I'm so passionate is because, there are kids that just want to be coached. They want an opportunity. And, at a point in time in my life without football, it was bad. It was real, real bad. And I got the opportunity to go back to the University of Hawai and play. And I was around Coach Nick Rolovich, Coach Stutz, Coach Kofense. I was around Coach Lang. I was around guys that that I know that really treated me like family. And when I decided to coach, I've always been super passionate about, just impacting people's lives in any way, shape, or form, knowing that football is going to mold me in a way as a coach that I'm going to learn from real big mistakes and I can grow, and little mistakes I can improve. But the bigger picture and like the biggest, I think, to me, more than coaching is that, again, I'm impacting kids' lives. That's the biggest thing. Like my receiver room at Southern Oregon, I still keep in touch with, even though they graduated. Like, getting baby pictures from guys who are not fathers is super awesome, and still keeping in touch with everybody that I've ever coached. And, I think at the end of the day, we always got to remind ourselves, right? Like football molds us into better human beings, teaches us discipline, teaches us structure, and teaches us just to be better in life. Like we have to work, we have to grind, we have to put in hours and hours and hours of anything that we do in life just to be who we are now.
Yeah. No, that's a great answer, Coach. And just kind of what you're saying kind of brought me back. Like there's not a lot of better feelings than when you have a former player text you saying, hey, thanks, Coach, so much for your impact, or recruiting me to X school. Like it's one of the best decisions I've made in my life for attending X school. Like I remember, leaving Linfield, I got, about 2 or 3 of those text messages, and, that meant a lot. And it felt like I was on the right path and, on the right trajectory and doing it for the right reasons when, you get those text messages. You can share as much as you want to share. What is something, or what is, I guess, your value system or your beliefs or principles that you use within your receiver?
Man, right now, I mean, it varied from room to room, right? As you try to tweak and you try to grow in coaching. But, I've always kept the same 3 rules, and I learned this from a great man. His name is Greg Stewart, right? It's do what's right, do your best, and treat others how you want to be treated, right? And, as long as you do what's right, you never go wrong. Every time you just do your best on the field, off the field, you're always going to be successful. And just treat others how you want to be treated, man. Especially we live in a world now where it's very judgmental at times, but, you just never know one day. Like, I tell my guys, like, hey, man, don't be afraid to open a door for somebody at a grocery store or ask them if they need help. Like, you never know who you're going to run into, right? You never know if you're going to run into a billionaire or you're going to run into somebody that might be looking to hire somebody for a job. You just never know, right? And I think, the biggest thing I tell my guys is pay it forward, right? But in the receiver room, right, we have that mentality of, I call it, I want dogs in my room, not dudes, right? And a dog is going to do anything with grit, right? Do anything with grit. Dudes in the room, to me, is a thing where it's like doesn't usually do everything, right? You're just a normal dude. And that's one of our it's not really our core value, but it's one of our sayings in the room, right? And it's because if you do anything with grit, right? If you do anything in life with grit where it's going to get tough, you're going to be successful, right? So I believe I believe it's always attitude and effort, right? You have a great attitude, you give 100% effort, we're going to do just fine. Right, any mistakes we can coach on film, any mistakes in life we can talk about. But in our room, we kinda had this deal where, I've always done it every year. We're like, we break bread with each other, right? We have everybody over for dinner, and I do a lot of vulnerability training where I tell my guys my whole life story. I open up from the jump because I feel like if your players can open up to you about the hardest things they've been through in life, they're gonna run through a brick wall without even looking back. Now you get to kinda learn more about your players and how to coach them, right? Some guys really like to be yelled at, some guys don't like it. Like, you have to figure out your players in order for you to coach them, right? But the product that we're going to put on the field, man, we're going to be confident, we're going to be consistent, and we're going to be the most high energy people on the field, right? Because at the end of the day, like our main saying is like the word finish, right? Everybody talks about finish. But to me, the phrase is your finish speaks volume of your character, like who you are as a person, which leans back to do what's right, do your best, treat us how you want to be treated, right? Like how much do you love your teammate to finish your job on the field? So that's kind of a base of where we're at right now with our room. The other half of the base is the guys are going to build our core values, right? Now we're in the spring ball. We're getting to know each other more. They're getting to know how I coach. I'm very high intensity. I'm very high energetic, right? But now for the rest of fall camp and through summer, by then the room is going to build their core values. Like, what is this room going to look like September 5th? What do we want to be known for at the end of the season when we line up against people? Still
If
building
I'm,
that as we go.
yeah,
But it's always good to get the players involved when they build their own core values, right?
no
I've been
doubt.
a guy where I can put things on a board and put things on a t-shirt, but when the guys build it, it means more. So that's where we're
Yeah.
at right now in the room.
If I get to come over for a wide receiver dinner, what are you and your wife making? What are we eating? Are we getting some local food? What are we getting?
Yeah, it was pretty local food the last one. I think appetizers was spam musubis.
Yeah.
Spam musubis. We had
Hey, I don't
cocktails.
know if you ever had this. There was a coach that I worked with at Linfield. His name was Doug Heyer. I can't remember what high school he went to on Oahu, but anyways, he did sushi rice
Yeah,
with
yeah,
spam musubi. It was fire. It was the first
yeah,
time I had that.
yep.
I'm 31 years old, about to be 32. The first time I had that was this past summer. It was awesome.
No way. Yeah, we had spam musubis and we had sushi in a pan, which is kind of like crab, salmon, all mixed with rice. Then we had like steak, onions, and tomatoes, something small, something simple. And then my wife made sago, mango sago, which is like the little boba beads and
Okay.
all kind of stuff. And then I made some like mud pie dessert with Oreos and stuff like that. We had zero leftovers, which was good.
You
And
guys wasn't messing around then, huh?
hey, man, in the Anguay house, we throw down now. Don't get it
I'm,
twisted.
I'm bad. I cannot cook. My wife cannot cook. If anything, if we got players over, it's gonna be pizza. Sorry.
Hey, hey, as long as you all together in one room, man, and you can just share each other's company, that's all good.
No doubt. You've mentioned a lot of good coaches just in the span of 15 minutes. Coach Rolo, Coach Stutz. I met Coach Stewart, but I don't know him. But one of the guys that I used to work with has the utmost respect for him, and I have the utmost respect for this guy. But who are your greatest influences that you would say within the coaching realm or outside the coaching realm?
Man, oof, number one for forever and ever and ever is gonna be my dad. My dad, man, oof, he has coached me and still coaches me to this day. And that's kind of why, like, I made that decision to follow him to Pro City. I got offered to coach my alumni. I got offered to coach elsewhere with other people that I knew. But my dad's been doing it so long that, like, if I know I'm going to do it right, I'm going to follow my dad, right? And, as a player when I was young, it was always awesome. My dad was my head coach. He was my OC all the way up to 8th grade. But I get to share a field with my dad in a different role where, like, we're talking about ball more. We're talking about new things. I had my first OC role. He was a big help. And then, like I said, to this day, he still coaches me. He'll call me randomly. He's kind of retired now, I guess. But, we're bouncing ideas off. What can I do better? Drill work. Like, watch my drill work. What can I do better? And it's always good to just have someone, who's my best friend, my dad, give me the serious input. The next person, man, for sure has got to be Greg Stewart, man. Forever grateful that he took a chance on me when he was the OC at Southern Oregon, right? And still to this day, man, he still gives me tips, reminders, pointers, like even just the little things like how to walk, how to talk, right? And him being the big influence in my life isn't as much as he's been in my family's life, right? And my wife loves Stu. I mean, everybody loves Stu. But like my wife is always like, oh my God, like Stu's on TV. Like, and it's the impact that he's made on me and my family has been forever grateful. And then I would say my next two guys, the next one's obvious. It's got to be Nick Rolovich, man. I mean, he took a chance on me to come back and finish out my senior year on a high note, and he's pretty much the reason I wanted to get into coaching, right? Just how he interacts with people and how he just knows how to connect with people on a different level. I know I'll never be close to that, but I'm going to do my best to try, right? And the last person for sure, I mean, I had a receivers coach when Norm Chow was the head coach at Hawaii. His name was Luke Matthews. Man, Coach Matthews, man, that's my man. That's my dog. We hardly talk. I know he's been busy with life and I've been coaching, but if he ever watches this, man, I want to tell him, man, I appreciate and thank you for always keeping me in the game, dog. even if I was on the field or off the field, man, he had a huge impact on my life. And I think the biggest thing with him was like, he just always kept it like real with me. Always kept it real. And he always kept pushing me to new limits, pushing me to new heights. Cause he was the one that saw that I had a good, I had a high ceiling to get better and better every day. So yeah, those are the
Oh, it's a
guys.
great answer. Great answer, Coach. What would you say is, some of the challenges within college coaching or coaching in general?
You know, I think the harder challenge now in college football is, obviously the NIL stuff, right? The constant battle of going back and forth. And, everybody knows that's relevant. That's something everybody wants it. Everybody wants to get it. But I think just being like knowing that there's a realization that this is the level you're supposed to play at, right? Like it's okay to have a high standard that I want to make it here. But like there's an old saying and an old quote, right? Can't go D1 without the work ethic, right? And the challenges right now in college football and just coaching in general is like, you're not just trying to sell the program, right? Like you're trying to sell the program obviously to the kid and you get him here, but keeping him here is the hardest thing in college football,
Yeah.
right? Like you see it everywhere, right? Guys are transfer portal and they're leaving. What kind of sucks about it too, it hurts the high school kids a lot. Like, being from the Rock, there's a lot of good talented kids out there that have high dreams, but when it doesn't happen, they don't want to do it anymore. But there's so much more opportunities out there, like not just Central Washington here at Division II, there's Division III, there's NAIA, there's junior college. It's that old D1 or bust mentality, and that's what's hurting coaching in general. Because we might find a guy in Hawaii or even in Washington, right? We're trying to be Washington's team, but they see the logo and they're like, nah, D2. Like, don't get it twisted. We play really, really good ball out here in the Lone Star, right? And
That's
then,
crazy that you guys are part of the Lone Star
yeah, like we're
Conference
the only
too.
West Coast. Hey, bro, we're the only West Coast team in the D2, brother. Hey, it's a great selling point. There's L&L right down the road. You know what I mean? In Tacoma, it's about an hour away, but you get your L&L. I think, but as a coach, I think what we struggle with is just a constant change in college football. Like first it's this, and the window closes here. Now we're gonna have another window. We're gonna do this. Like it's making not our jobs harder. It's just making us frustrated because now we're really trying to build a team, and now we gotta wait for this or we gotta wait for that. Like we need super set rules. Like in the grave doesn't change. We can operate. Now we just know what it is, right? And we're just changing
Hey,
rules.
good luck on that, brother.
Name,
It
image,
might take five
likeness, and
plus
all
years
this
on that
wonderful
one.
stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, recruiting wise in college football, man, like we kind of touched upon it earlier, talked about that D1 or bust. Like, people don't take enough visits to places. Like they don't understand. Like being from the West Coast, like I'm getting invited to a school in Florida. I go out there, I love it, but then I really gotta think like, okay, if I do go to this school, how much does it cost to fly home? How much is it gonna cost for my family to get up here? I'm this much miles away. Location is everything, right? And you just got to make the big time where you're at. That's the biggest thing. Make the big time where you're at, and good things will happen.
Yeah. Kind of reflecting back at your time at Idaho State and then what you guys are doing now at Central Washington. Are you guys kind of leaning into the notion of like, hey, come here, give us 2 good years, put great tape out there, and then now there can be some upward mobility? Did you guys do that at Idaho State? And are you guys doing that at Central Washington?
Idaho State, no, not really. Like we wanted our guys to be there for 4 years for sure, right? Because like offensively, like right, we're a 10 personnel team, and like being a 10P and 10P wide receiver, it's great for me, right? I'm gonna catch a bunch of passes. We're gonna chuck the ball. We have a really, really good run game at Idaho State. We were great. But unfortunately, I just came with the territory that if a guy goes off in a season, you got your agent and you got street agents. Street agents are always the ones that push them out, and life goes on. At Central Washington, oh, man, we want guys here. We want guys here for 4 years because this place is great. This place is awesome. All right. And, you're going to run into those opportunities where it's like, yeah, maybe you might have to sell it a little bit, but no, like we want you here for your 4 to 5, but we want to build a 40-year relationship here, man. Like this is a great place to play ball. It's a great town. And, there's a lot you can do in the Lone Star, man. You can really, really make things happen, dude. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at Central.
Why is football the greatest sport in your opinion?
Oh man, because the greatest team sport known to man, right? You gotta think about like football is also probably the most diverse sport ever, right? Yes, there's other sports that have diversity and whatnot, but you're trying to take people from different parts of the world or different high schools that were maybe 2 minutes from each other. And we're trying to bring people together to follow one common goal, right? And the life lessons that come with football and the memories that come in football will never ever be replaced. Like to this day, I can always remember, like, rest in peace to my high school coach, Christian Carlos. at Campbell High School. We're playing Farrington and totally forgets to play. And on my highlight, you see him mid-play telling me, like, I trust you, bro. Just running out. I'm not supposed to running out, but okay. And he throws me the ball and I score a touchdown. And I'm like, all right, dude. But till this day, that memory sticks in my brain forever, right? And, football brings family together, right? But football teaches you what family really means, right? And to me, I learned through football, like family stands for forget about me, I love you, right? So I got to forget about myself and I got to love the person next to me, person in front of me, person behind me. And I really got to build team chemistry. That's the biggest thing. And that's why I think football, man, is the greatest sport. Like I've met Scott Harding, who was an amazing dude. He's an amazing punter. He's an amazing receiver, right? Came from Australia. Yeah, I've never met anybody in Australia, but it's the first guy I ever met. To this day, man, I try to keep in touch with him as much as I can.
That's good stuff, Coach. Sorry, I got my pup over here. Just
No
keep
worries.
on bothering me. Talk to me a little bit just about kind of your guys' practice structure and layout for the week, and then if there's a drill that you're now doing that you wish you did 5-10 years ago.
Oh, right. Like how we're structuring practice, right? We're trying to get as much reps as possible, obviously, like everybody in the spring. So like on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we're having what we call class on grass, right? Where it's our walkthrough tempo. We separate the ones and the twos and mix in the threes, and we literally walk over the script we're going to run the next day at practice. And the huge emphasis is about, championship standards and how are we going to take this opportunity to have a walk period to fine tune our skills for the next day. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays right now. Saturdays we go at 10 o'clock, right? We have our Saturday, well, it depends, like Saturday's a little different. But, Tuesday and Thursdays, right, we have our 3:15 meeting, get the team together. We do something cool. Never done it before. It's called Kahoot, where it's like
the online quizzes.
Yeah, the online quizzes. I've never done it before, man. I think it's awesome. We quiz our guys on the standard, situational downs, and we try to see who's paying attention and who's really locked in. And then we'll get over, get into our practice tempo of the week, and then we'll go to our practice structure. Then we'll hit the field. We'll have our little position meetings, right? I do my best to just go over the script as much as I can. Go over installs, repeat, answer any questions. We try to do our best to, with a new offense, get the signals down, obviously, and then we draw it up on the board. And then I like to, add a little motivational stuff. We're kind of on like a WWE train in my room, so we're kind of doing some different WWE stuff, like we did Randy Orton RKO and whatnot. Then we'll hit the field. I always like starting my indie, like pre-practice, we call it ground zero. I try to do the exact same warm-up we do when we stretch as a team, just to get the guys firing and going. Then we'll always start off with we'll go like a run-through, right? We're going to go with our base down plays, and we're just going to run through them. Shadow tempo, no ball thrown, let's get it going. And stretch, and then we carry on the rest of our practice. And then, one indie drill I wish I did, even when I was in high school, that I could even learn, was ooze blocking.
What is the ooze blocking?
Ooze blocking is just working, like pretty much trying to convert a receiver to like the Kirkland version of an offensive lineman and teaching leverage, hands, and everything else, right? I was a terrible blocker. Terrible, right? And if I wish I knew I blocked more, I probably would have saved a couple of my teammates, especially when I was playing running back. Lalo Respicio, if you're listening, bro, I know a championship game, I got you killed, but we won the game, dog. That's all that matters. But I think blocking for receivers is great, right? Because there's every footwork drill you can do, right? You can do like a W drill, you can do a Y drill, you can teach it, punch 90, punch 45, all your breaks, naturally receivers have it. But the old saying for me now is the new saying is no block, no rock, right? Because, knowing that Central Washington has a really, really good run game, like if we can be the touchdown block, which is the unspoken stat in college football, that's a plus. Now we're putting more pressure on DBs and safeties to like, is he really blocking me or is he running a double move? Right. So just teaching the basic fundamentals of blocking. And I had to like do a whole dissertation on this when I worked for Greg Stewart. And it took me like 2 days to like stay up late and like learn this. Okay. But yeah, blocking for sure.
I'll tell you what, man, just being at Oregon State, and I know you crossed paths with Fence. Fence had some of the most like creative receiver drills.
Yes.
Like the one of them that I love, and I was watching him when he was speaking at the clinic, because I think it was in the springtime and I didn't see the drill yet. But he was talking about it. I saw it in the fall. But anyways, he brings basketballs out and he got garbage cans. And it's just the receivers coming to balance and then just working on their crossovers. But I thought it was just it's a good It was a good realistic drill, and it was just something fun. It was something unique, right? That gets a little bit more buy-in from the players. So I thought that was cool. And there was another one he would have a freaking Nerf football, like a couple Nerf footballs, and he'd always preach about talk or catching the ball with your eyes. So
Yes.
what he would do, he would have the receivers run back and forth, and everything they had to do, he would throw it at about just above the waist or a high ball or something like that. And they had to, jump and, hit the ball with their helmet so they can really emphasize, catching the ball with their eyes. And I thought
Yep.
that was really creative. Did it translate? I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounded freaking good, but no,
Yeah.
he had a lot of, he had a lot of good drills. He had a
Mac
lot of good
Defense is
drills.
my dude, man. I mean, I had fun when I was in the receiver room. He has gifted me the name Uncle Sam.
Why is that?
Yeah, because I was the oldest guy in the room. No, Fence had super creative drills. Like, he never did the basketball one with us, but, like, the Nerf ball one he did with us.
Did he?
And it was, like, super awkward,
Yeah.
but it worked, right? And, I'm not to the point now with, I'm not there yet. I'm gonna say not to the point, but I'm not there yet where you really gotta hone the basic fundamentals. But we're getting to the point now where, like, yeah, we gotta get creative and do some other stuff. Like, I've done a drill before, which I do with my guys, we're called chaos drill. We're like receivers here, DBs here, and your DB's facing you, and you are just jogging and you're just hitting him anywhere on his body. And your job is to really try to find a way to find the ball in traffic and catch it with your eyes. Right. And then the next drill is like now you're in front of the DB. And the DB is just pulling, tugging, grabbing, whatever. And I'm trying to make sure you just catch it with one hand and track it with another. So like we did that a ton in the beginning of the year, but now that we're dialing in, we're like, our footwork is where we need it to be. Our cutting, our releases are getting better and better. Now we've got to work on the last fundamental piece of blocking, which is going to be huge for us because perimeter wise, like our goal is to take a bubble to the house. We need everybody there. But no, like Coach Defense, man, and I think he's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now.
Yeah, I think
Tampa Bay
so.
Buccaneers. Yeah.
I think
He
so.
has a funny story of on Twitter. We thought he was quitting, but he was retiring from staff basketball.
He posted something on Twitter.
Yeah, like, he posted, like, something was funny, and I was like, "Man, I think Coach Fence is leaving," but it was because he, like, ruptured his Achilles or something.
I heard about him rupturing his Achilles. I didn't
Yeah, he
hear about the
ruptured his
tweet though.
Achilles, and, like, he was in the boot, and he was out there doing drills. I'm like, "Man, this is crazy. This is
Do you
insane."
guys be playing noon hoops over there with the staff? Those are some of the best times, man. Especially
Yeah, I mean, some of our staff does. I mean, I'll hoop, but my competitive nature takes over too much, and when I played hoops in high school, I was just bound to foul, so I don't wanna hurt nobody on staff. So, I just wanna make sure, I mean, I'm not much of a hooper, but I'm athletic enough, but yeah,
you can sell and screen though, huh?
for sure. You let me know. I'll foul anybody you need me to foul, bro.
You mentioned unspoken stat in football, talking about the block that springs the touchdown run. Is there any other things that you might personally track or your team has tracked in the past, just from an untraditional statistic, kind of like that? To give you an example, when I was at Boise, they always talked about, hey, if we could get 10 QB hits throughout the game, they didn't have to be a sack, but if we could tackle or hit the QB 10 times, it was going to affect, how we process, how he sees the game, if he speeds up, so on and so forth. Is there anything along those lines that you guys would track?
I mean,
Any untraditional?
for me, I don't know if it's an unspoken stat, maybe it's 'cause it didn't show up, but the emphasis of finish, right? Like, finishing, right? Like, I'm trying to get my guys to learn that, like, hey, your finish is the biggest thing you can do, and our head coach over here emphasizes finish a lot, right? We gotta finish +2, we gotta run through it, not to it, right? And I think as a receiver, like, if I'm finishing on air, making a move, that's kinda my unspoken stat, like, I'll bring it up like, "Hey, man, you gotta add a finish to this, because it will end up being the unspoken stat, but it might become live rep where you're making a move on the guy you're just imagining, so, I don't know if it's an unspoken stat overall,
Yeah,
but that's kinda, like, where I'm leaning on with that question, so yeah.
yeah. If I was if I were to come and watch you practice, what do you want me to take away from that practice as far as just the identity, as far as how you coach and your room?
Man, that we're probably gonna be the most hardest workers on the field, right? That we have the most intensity as best as possible, right? Like, in our receiver room, I want you to take away that, our guys are gonna be high intense. They're gonna play at a high level, and you're never gonna see them flinch, right? Even if a mistake happens, they're gonna flush it, they're gonna move on and make a big play next, right? And I think, as a coach, like, how engaging I am with my kids, how hands-on I am with my guys, and how, I know when to ramp it up. I know when to keep it level and calm. I know how to pick it back up, right? It's kind of like reading the room and like reading the temperature of the kitchen a little bit. And, I'm Portuguese. I'm Portuguese, University of Hawaii. So I talk really, really fast. And I'm trying to work on that myself. But, I'm trying to be way more detail oriented in what we're trying to accomplish in the drill. And I hope like whoever comes watch us practice, like every indie drill has an emphasis that's leading into a period that we're going to go through. So that's the biggest takeaways for sure. And that I can speak proper as well.
If you could coach any player past or present, who would it be and why?
Ooh, past or present. If I'm going NFL, I would love to coach Devontae Adams. Not just even coach him, just pick his brain on how he operates. Like, what's his plan at the line of scrimmage, right? And try to like figure out how he tweaks and moves and how he sets his releases up. If there is any high school player before, I think it'd be interesting to coach myself. I think it'd be super interesting to see how I would react to how I coach now and how myself would react.
You'd cut yourself out, you think?
Yeah, a couple times. Couple of times. I can see very fond memories, and, shout out to my brother-in-law who was my high school coach, and he had to deal with me in my prima donna times, but, he kept me cool. My brother-in-law, Nick Tiki Tagura, man, he kept me calm, man, and I'm just so grateful. He's my brother-in-law now, which he's coaching still, and I sometimes gotta apologize for things that happened in, like, maybe 2007, 8. But, I think it'd be interesting to coach myself and see, like, how as a coach would I react if myself reacted in a way. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
No, no, that's a good take. Now you got me thinking about it. Before we got on, prefaced you on the Anela question today. So my daughter always has a question for the guests.
Sure.
Her question was, what is your favorite fruit?
I'm gonna go with mangoes. I'm a mango guy,
Well,
right? I mean, I love pineapple.
with a little bit of lihimoy though, or
I would lean more
just
like
mango by itself?
well, like, cut the mango in half, you just take a scoop out, leave it on the
Yeah.
side, you put some ice cream in it.
Ooh.
Yeah. I may be a
Okay.
wide receivers coach, and I may look like a kicker at times because I lose weight and I try to get in shape, but I'm pretty much an O-line guy at heart. I'm a big foodie,
Yeah.
so you try and find new ways and, just like coaching, right? You find new ways, same plays, different ways, and, my wife did it with a mango with ice cream, and I was like, "Okay, I married well. We're on the right track." But leave more on top, yeah, for sure, for sure.
No, that sounds good. A little mango with the ice cream inside. That sounds really good. Talking recruiting just a little bit. What does an ideal receiver look like to you?
For my outside receivers, I want good length. I want good body control. I mean, average outside wide receivers for me, right? Like projected, if you're going to be a true X, would be in that 6'3", 6'4" range. Has a little bit of physicality to them. My Z receivers between 1 to 6 big, I would say, that have twitch to them. They're physical, that have great hands. Obviously, the receiver, you have to have great hands, but have great, great hips. Being bigger or being twitchy, you got to have great hips to get out of your breaks. For my slot receivers, holding it down for the short kings. If you're going to be that 5'5", 5'7", you got to be a trailblazer, man. You got to be tough as nails, and you got to be able to run fast. Right? Usually, like, if I get a bigger slot who's in that 6 foot, 5'11", 6'1" range, he's gotta be able to press vertical. He's gotta be a vertical threat that, isn't afraid to come across the middle, obviously. But overall, as a receiver, what I look for is, do you play multiple sports, right? You're a hooper. Right? Do you like to play hoops? Do you play baseball? Do you run track, right? Because, again, I've learned this, and this is crazy to me in college football, that people AI their highlights to make it faster. So
That is crazy.
yeah, like, my head coach, he's been on me. He's been teaching me a lot about, like, this is why if you guys run track, you want track times, right? You want to see the speed. Bigger thing is, GPA wise, right? A 3.0 and above shows me you can handle a workload of a playbook, right? And I think the biggest thing overall is character, right? Like, when I go in to recruit, like, I leave, I see the counselors. I may see a janitor. I might see, a custodian, or I might see a cafeteria worker. I might drop a name. Hey, how's so-and-so in school? Oh, they're great. They're helping, they're loving, and everybody loves them. Or you might get the other answer, right? Like, oh, well, in the cafeteria, he just leaves his mess. He doesn't care, right? I'm not afraid to go ask the hard questions to teachers or counselors and, like, hey, does he get his work done, right? Because what you recruit is what you tolerate, right? And I think, watching film on all the receivers that I recruit, right? I don't just want to watch a highlight. I want to watch a game. Like,
Yeah.
are you on for 4 quarters, maybe in overtime. Do you change your pace? Are you a guy that's gonna run your route 70%? Because, it's not really ideal for you to go 70% because I'm not getting the ball, or am I gonna be a guy that goes 100% every time, every play? And then the biggest attribute, I mean, obviously, can you kick return? Can you punt return? Right? Because as a kick returner, right, you have to have some savviness about you. You have to be able to read blocks, right? You have to be able to do everything on the field in a different setting. And in punt returner, man, I mean, like, do you got more guts than brains at times? Are you willing to run upfield and a short kick and make sure we catch the ball and we collect it? Right. So overall recruiting, I'm out to look at everything. Right. I may ask former teammates how you were. If I have a connection there, I'll definitely do it. So just making sure I hit all aspects of recruiting, not just X's and O's and academics, but like how you are as a human being really matters because, in a receiver room, man, you're bringing so much different personalities from
Big
different cultures.
personalities too, man. Receivers
Yeah.
and DBs.
Hey, man, usually I got a gold chain on, I got my earrings in, like I walk the walk and talk the talk, right? But I got confidence, right? And if you're oozing confidence in who you are, but you're very respectful and very humble about it, I love it. Let's go make it happen.
Good take, coach. That's a good take. Just talk to me, just, I guess, the recruiting process in general. Like, what does that look like initially at Central Washington? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is you mentioned watching full game as opposed to just highlights. So from identification to the evaluation process to the recruiting process, what does that look like?
No, for sure. I think of course, we're going to be super heavy in Washington, right? We're going to be super heavy in Washington. Something cool that they do here is that if you have a 3.0 GPA and you're from Idaho or Oregon,
Is
right,
that
you
the
get
like the WUI exchange?
a little bit different. You actually get, yeah, you get actually like in-state tuition.
Well, that's good.
WUI exchange is you just get so much percentage now off your tuition. It's kind of changed a little bit. But the recruiting process for us is easy, right? Like man, we want to connect over, social media, over phone, over text, right? We want to make sure you get on campus, right? Because we're in Ellensburg, it's a small town. Kind of show you the ropes of how to get to where you need to go. Like you fly into Seattle, you can take a nice, beautiful drive down here, right? Show you our campus. We want to see you work out in person, obviously. So if any camps that are out there, right? It's always good to get an in-person evaluation off the jump. Right, like right after this, we're gonna hit the road after spring break, not spring break, after the spring game, and we're gonna be hitting Seattle for the next 2, 3 days after the spring game. Getting to see you in a school setting is super big too, right? We want to make sure you meet the measurables. Like you're not saying you're 5'11" on your Twitter and you end up being 5'8". Like it's a huge difference. And then from that process there, right, coming to our camp in person and watch you perform. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're at a camp with 700 guys, you're gonna get 10 reps all day. We're really not gonna see it. You come to our camp, right, you're gonna get more coaching from us, which is super huge from us because I get to coach the guys that I'm potentially recruiting at our camp. See how you take the coaching. And then keeping up with, of course, like your senior year, class 2027, keeping up with your senior year. And if you're a fit for us, great, right? If you don't feel like that we're a fit for you, we kind of want to know that off the jump, right? We like it when guys can say, yeah, coach, like it might not be the fit for me. Okay, we can move on, right? So that's probably the best way to explain our recruiting process, right? And with ranking guys, obviously, and trying to find the best get for our program, right? And trying to find out where we're allocating, each position, right? Are we over at this position? We may have to cut down, not recruit this class in a certain position and really, really load the foundation in this position, right? But I'm a big over communication guy. Like, to me, if you're a wide receiver that really, really wants to be here, you're over communicating, man. You are bugging me on Twitter. You're sending me videos, highlights, sending me weigh-ins, you're sending me track time, you're sending me drills. Like, I love that kind of stuff because it shows that the kid cares, right? And, during the recruiting process, you're going to find out who really, really loves football and who just likes it.
Yeah,
Cause we don't want guys that just like it, man. It's gonna be a grind when you're here. We're gonna keep our championship standard. We're gonna make sure we recruit the right guys to come in.
I like that. Give me 12 seconds. I gotta let my dog out. She's over here just freaking bugging me.
No worry about. Go ahead.
Let her go bathroom. I'll be right back. My wife got that pup like 2 summers ago.
Nice.
Annoying. Great dog, but just annoying.
Needs
Always
all
wants
the
love.
love and
Oh,
attention, huh?
needs all the love. Needs all the love. What are talking about the recruiting process? What are some red flags? Like if you see something or you hear something, it's just that it's done.
For me, for me personally, I don't like it when guys are like, Coach, come on, you can be my fifth offer. Like, I'm not in the business just to offer anybody. right? I'm just not gonna offer because so and so offered you, and I gotta offer you, right? I think that's the biggest red flag for me. I think, when it comes to like academics, and I'm asking for a transcript, and it takes me over a month to get a transcript for you. It's kind of a red flag because like, what are you hiding? Right. And a big red flag for me is also like when guys aren't just honest. Like, hey coach, I really want to come to Central Washington, I can make it happen. And then we have a sit down with mom and dad and we're like, hey, this is what we're offering, this is what we're doing. And they're like, yeah, we can't do that. Like I don't like walking in blind into something where I'm like, hey man, if you just tell me what it is, I can do my job and make it work.
Yeah.
Right. And then, when kids go cold on you after you offer them, they
Yeah.
try to use that as leverage. It's a huge red flag for me, right? Like it happens all the time, right? You offer a kid and it's like, boom, he starts to blow up. It's great. You try to text him and be like, hey man, we're still a great option for you. And you don't get a text back. And it's some excuse like, oh, my bad, coach. Like I was helping my mom move. Like, come on, brother. Like we're in 2026. Like I know you check your phone, TikTok, 30 seconds, right?
No doubt.
I think, when I recruit guys, right, I always clear it with my OC and my head coach, right? Like, when we're on a phone conversation, man, you don't got to change who you are. And just because I'm a college football coach that's calling you from Central Washington, you don't have to act a different way. Just be yourself. I'd rather recruit a guy who's going to be himself and I know what I'm getting into versus, yeah, man, this guy sounds really, really great on the phone. Something doesn't seem right. And then you get him and then you get him on campus and he's a completely different person. You just got to be authentic. Like that's how I coach. I'm authentic. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to know my situations, know my personnel around me, but I'm going to be me and I'm never going to change.
Yeah.
Right. If I do change, I'm going to change for the better because I've had good mentors here at Central Washington that's pushing me in the right direction. But same as a player, right? You have to be open and honest about everything. And then we can make things work. So that's the biggest red flags.
Yeah. It's kind of when you were talking, it just made me think about, being at Linfield and just sometimes just the recruiting gymnastics
Yes.
that kind of takes place, and I'm sure you ran into it at Idaho State and you guys are running into it at Central Washington, where sometimes like you develop a great relationship with the kid. You guys can project this kid like, okay, this kid can play here and this kid could probably play above us. But it's in like, okay, when are we going to go on this kid? Because like you said, like once you offer a kid and that's get posted out on social media, like, that brings in some sharks at times. You know what I mean? That brings in some sharks. I'm sure you guys ran into that at Idaho State. When I was at University of Oregon in the recruiting department, that was like a big thing. Like we had a tracker of about 15 plus G5 schools that, our personnel guy identified like that he loves just the makeup of their roster and their talent. And we would go and track their recruiting classes. And if, something happened or if, we just look if they had good plan B guys for us. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
So, I mean, that's always kind of interesting to me, just kind of the recruiting gymnastics that, takes place. Sorry, I didn't have a question there. I just kind of freaking
It's all good. Got it.
went on a rant right there. Talk to me just a little bit about your room and just how you go about your install meeting and then your post practice meeting.
Got you. I mean, install meeting wise, like, just in the spring as we're learning a new offense, we've been kind of like pre-installing with our OC. And then my method to that is like, okay, like as we pre-install, I like to cut to the practice film real quick. And then before we leave that meeting, right, like I'm going over the install again, right? I'm up on the board. Like, look, everybody has their copy of the script and we're going through the install as a unit. When you install a lot of plays, all at once, like you kind of read the room a little bit about who can handle and who can't. So I always try to make it a super big emphasis on like, I have open hours, I have open meeting times throughout the day before we even get to practice, right? I structure the install pretty much basic, right? I like to change up the room temperature a little bit. I like to make it a little uncomfortable and comfortable, right? But we have all our guys sit together, obviously, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna make it a little uncomfortable. I'm gonna pick the guys out in the room, get on the board. Did you look at the install last night? Kind of deal, right? Tell me what you know now. Tell me what we got to tweak, and then we go over the install and we watch as much clips as we can to get the best picture and idea of what we're doing that day. To make it comfortable, I bring my speaker in there, man. I bring some candy. I just like kick my feet up, bring my little remote, go over practice and go through the install. And you can kind of feel like how confident the guys are in the install and what they're doing. And you can kind of read the room of who's really wanting to ask a question, right? I try to keep it open as much as possible. Post practice, right? There's going to be days where, you kind of got to read the practice. If it's a good practice, I like to do what we did at Idaho State with Coach Buddy Blevins. We used to do, like, we did a thing called praise a teammate. And after practice, I'll be the first day, hey, man, praise a teammate. So-and-so will call so-and-so out, give them their praises. And then practice player, man, they get like a body armor or a Gatorade next practice. I owe about 8 of them right now because I haven't gone to the store, but it shows you the trending in the room. And there's going to be times where, like, on the littlest mistakes, I'm going to harp on it as best as I can after practice. I'm going to get in people's grills about it. We're not going to make the same mistake again, and we're going to move on, right? Through the week, though, with all the installing and stuff like that, I love it when guys come in early and want to get ahead. So we're in the O staff room and we're watching film and we're breaking down the new install and we're asking questions and trying to nip it in the bud now. But just basically like how everybody else installs, right? The most creative thing I've done installing wise was that I have 2 whiteboards in my room that I run. I have 3, but it has a projector over it. I go on the board, I move the tables, I move the chairs, and I draw left hash, I draw right hash on one board, right? And we make our guys signal as much as they can to learn the signals. And I'll call the 3 guys up. We're in 11P. You're at Z. You're at X. You're at F. Grab a marker. Draw your part of the play. It's left hash call, left hash call. We're signaling the personnel, and then we signal in whatever, and then they draw their part. All right, erase it. Okay, right hash call now. And they're just moving from board to board for 4 plays. But it's kind of like in a game, right? You're moving left hash, right hash, left hash, and it's training their eyes to immediately, when they're done erasing, to look back at the signal caller. So it's kind of unique ways to do that. Game day, go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off. Did you see there was a Texas Tech clip? Exactly what you're talking about, but it was like a big ass room. They had the floor all turfed out. They had the projector, and it looks like they were like watching the thing live. Like a freaking point of view type. It was awesome. Sorry,
I saw that on Twitter, and I was like, wow, we had
must
that.
Be nice. Must be nice.
I got a whole indoor dome just with a big projector. Game day wise, like every scrimmage I try to treat like game day, obviously. I grab all my clips from the practice before that we got to tweak. I do what I call good, bad, and ugly. I took this from Greg Stewart. For the good plays, we show them. Bad plays are the plays that we need to improve on. We're going, the ugly is like, guys, we got to get this fixed. Like, this is something we got to fix. Right? And it's not to put anybody down, but it's like, hey, man, if we can dial in and get, the bad to good and the ugly to even the bad or more better, and then you get it to good, then we're in a good shape. But I move all the tables and chairs out the way on scrimmage days. We all just sit comfortably, and I just popcorn around the room. I just go, boom, okay, we're in 11P, we're running this. Z, what do you have? Boom, what do you have? Boom, what do you have? Great, play it. Okay, what's wrong with this depth? And it's just kind of getting the guys more engaged.
Yeah.
Guys enjoying. I bring a bag of Skittles, I bring Sour Patch Kids, I bring freaking all kind of different candy because the blood sugar's got to be a little high before scrimmage. And we just trying to I want to make it as cool, calm, and collective as I can. So when we're in the game, we act the same way. So, yeah. So I kind of operate in my room.
From a scouting perspective, like you're going into game week, what's the most pertinent information and cut-ups that you're giving your players for them to be successful?
Man, I'm giving them breakdown to every defensive back on the back end, right? I'm going to start training my GA, Jaden, on like doing profiles for each DB. And I want him to make cut-ups of each DB and how he plays his technique. The guys just constantly watching, like, and the biggest thing for me is like, I want to know if is it a boundary corner or a field corner, or do they travel, right? I kind of want to have the mentality of my receivers is like, who you're lining up against. You got to have a plan on the line of scrimmage ahead of time. In cover 2 that he likes to sell cover 2 to the boundary. He likes to sell cat pressure. He likes to drop out. We got to be ready for any whole shots, or we got to be ready for anything conversions down the field. Safety wise for my slots and nickels, right? You got to know like who you're playing. Like you got to know like he's a true nickel. Number 11 is a true nickel. Now you can kind of use all your your tools in your tool belt to get open. But if he's a Sam, he's probably coming at you with a full steam and he's trying to throw you off your track, right? So I guess for me, like going into a game week, I mean, obviously having the film broken down by our GA guys are gonna be super important. Like I was an assistant, I had to break down film, so I know how big the importance is. Tendencies on coverage, super huge, right? Like, tendencies on nickel fire. They totem pole, are they offset? Like, what is the tendency? And any information I can give these guys ahead of time, knowing that, all right, you're gonna get this scout look, but the more tape you watch on who your opponent is, right? We gotta go. We got to learn and we got to grow, right? Kind of giving guys the opportunity ahead of time to know, like, all right, this is in this week. We're keeping this week. We're taking this out. We're adding this. The faster that I can learn it, the faster I can send it. The faster that they can study it, the faster they have an idea, the faster we learn. And I'm a big test guy as well.
Yeah.
So, like, I may give them a sheet. Okay, all right, this is the DBs, this is the safeties and nickels, this is who you're playing. The next day, I'm coming in with a test. All right, where's he from? What high school did he go to? What is his favorite thing to do on jam? Is he a double hand jam guy? Is he a cross arm jam guy? Is he a jammed and quick pedal? Are you watching tape? Because the more you study your opponent, the more you're going to do. The more you're going to know, the more prepared you're going to be. I mean, then after just recapping game, I like to put it to bed early as fast as possible. Like if I'm scouting, like I want to move on to the next guy as fast as possible. Learn from our mistakes quick, fast, easy, and we're moving on. So that's the biggest thing for me when I do my scouting. It's like, who are we playing? What is the structure? What does it look like? Like, do you have an idea of if it's going to be 3 bus to the field or 3 bus to the boundary? Like, what are the tendencies? And sometimes I may not even give my guys a sheet. I just want them to do it on their own. Here's a picture. Go on your phone, Google, find the roster, find what he does, find where he's from. It's not for me to give you info and give you fire to go out there and jaw, but the more you know about somebody you're going to play, the better. So that's kind of where I lean on that.
No, just take me back to my GA days too, and making those cut ups and making those profile
Man,
sheets. But
you
the
know,
thing is, we
I
had
was,
PFF, so it was easy. I
yeah,
could just go.
I
I
do.
just could go rip it off. Central Washington, I'm assuming they got PFF.
No, I miss PFF a lot, but I sometimes call the boys like, "Hey, man, we borrowed PFF, like just for this game, right?" And kind of get into the mode and the grind and the groove of things. But no, man, I mean, either way, you're gonna find something. Like I'm a big like dude that scour social media, right? Like especially when like you get a new DC somewhere and people just randomly posting videos of like practice, and you're like, boys, like you kind of get a gauge. And I think like, for me, like when we were at Idaho State, we all knew like we're a 10P team, kind of know what to expect on the back end, right? You're gonna be quarters, you're gonna be man, like temp two invert, like we're gonna figure it out. Now it's our job as coaches to kind of figure out what works and what matches, right? And our OC here, Sam King, he does a really, really good job of just kind of putting in everything that we're gonna know for sure we're gonna need in the season now. We're gonna perfect it and we're gonna go. So yeah, it's stressful when you label a coverage wrong on something and it's like it pulls up in the wrong clip and you're like, sorry, coach.
Been there
Sorry,
many
coach.
times. Been there many times. How do you go about addressing players who aren't meeting their expectations?
In the beginning phases, especially me going back into a room, I have to go kind of soul searching a little bit how I would handle it. Like before, how I would handle it would be first thing, man, bring them in, talk to them, see what's really going on in your brain, right? Like, why are we not getting this? What do we need to do? And next would be me and the OC meet with them and try to, push them in the right direction. I'm like, hey, man, like, we need you to get this going. And then after that, it's pretty much, you just go back to your grade sheet and you're like, yeah, right now, like, you got to be realistic, right? How I handle it now is more so, since I already know majority of my guys, is that, like, you got to find a way to fuel the fire that's dying because of all the mistakes, right? And I did it today with one of my guys. I just told him, man, like, hey, man, you have value to this team. And I think showing some compassion at first before you do like any critiquing or criticism kind of goes a long way, right? Flips the switching guys. And then it happened again today where I brought another guy in that's not meeting the expectations, and I just said, hey, man, like, do you love it or do you like it? Let me know now. It's not you as a human being. It's just you right now on the football field. Like, what do we need to do extra to make you perform and play at a high level? Because now you have to have a plan of action, right? And for me, it's kind of like, hey, man, if I got to be here at 5:30 to meet with you, I'll be here at 5:30 to meet with you. I have no problem. I signed up for this. But like now when you set a plan in action, it's more on the player to be like, well, man, coaches are really trying to work with me now. What do I need to do? And then, third, it's just pretty much, like, hey, you got to be realistic. You'd be like, hey, man, like, as talented as you are, I don't know why you're not getting it. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure you get it. Our OC is doing the same thing. Your coach is preaching a standard. You got to figure it out. And I just got to start cutting reps at that point.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to go from like, you got to love them up. Like I've learned, like for me, like I have a good feel of like loving them up. And like 99.9% of the time that does work. Then you kind of got to bring them back to ground level where you're like, all right, dude, like, what do we need to do more? I work for you, man. I coach you. And then at that point, you got to be realistic and be like, all right, we're standing still here. Ball's in your court, dude. What are we going to do? Like the old Tom Brady, not old Tom Brady, but like recently the video's been out, right? You give me 4 reps, I'm going to perfect my 4 reps. Then you give me 10, then 10 equals to 12, and 12 equals to freaking playing in a Super Bowl. Like you try to instill that in your players' minds of like, yeah, when I take away your reps, like you better be perfect on these 15 reps. Then we can go to 16. So you got to build them up. You got to keep them level. You're not trying to break them all the way down, but you got to find a way to keep bringing them up and bring the fire back. So, man, like I can tell you, like I have failed more than you know as a position coach because when I first started getting into running my own room, I just wanted to coach talent, right? And I saw a kid that was I saw a bunch of kids actually that are super talented, but I never was 100% honest with them. I was 95% honest because I felt like, if I kill this kid right now, man, this kid's going in the dump. But now that I'm back in my own room and last year at Idaho State, like when you're super, super, super transparent with them, obviously, like it goes a long way, right? It goes a super long way. Love them up. You critique them, you keep them on the same level, and then you're like, all right, dude, like, no, here, the hammer's coming down. This is what you need to do better, and we got to work, right? So, you live and learn as you go through it. You do your best as a coach who's, I'm not young anymore, but I was younger at the time, I guess, to kind of navigate to be who you want to be. And I think my relationship with my players right now, we're at that level where it's like, yeah, if I drop the hammer, they're going to respond.
Yeah.
Because all you're trying to get is a good response and how we're going to move forward and get better.
Yeah. You said it just kind of in passing, but it freaking struck a chord for me. It was, and I think we forget it as coaches a lot of times. And you said, I work for you.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, that's powerful. We're like you said, we're there to serve our athletes and get them to where they want to go.
Yeah.
But no, that's good stuff, Coach. If you could go back and give your younger self some advice, or aspiring coaches who want to get into college football some advice, what would that advice be?
If I could go back in time and give myself advice as a player, I would say, the little things count more than you know, right? Doing the littlest things goes a long way. If I could go back to when I coached myself in 7-on-7, would be you don't coach for the logo, you coach for the kids, right? Like you don't coach for the logo you wear, you coach for the kids. Doesn't matter if Timmy's got 2 left feet, you coach him the same way as you coach him the same way as the other kid that's super talented. And I think I did a good job with that when I was younger because I just had passion for coaching kids. But there's moments and times where it was like, yeah, like, fair is fair, right? Fair is fair. And you got to go all the way across the board. Aspiring coaches, I would say don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to jump in the fire. You're going to make so much mistakes, but you're going to gain so much more knowledge off of it. And when you jump into coaching, especially at the college level or at the high school level, you're going to meet so much people that will impact your life that will be along the ride all the way through. And I think my best advice would be marry well, marry super well. You got to sit down with your other half that you love and you're passionate about. Don't let the coaching, blur your vision of who you love and who you care about. But you got to be as transparent on what your dream is. As transparent as I could have been. My wife knew I loved coaching, and I was afraid to jump in the fire because I didn't want to risk I didn't want to risk and not get the reward. But she knew what the risk was, and the reward was going to be greater. But the little things count. Don't be afraid to jump in the fire. Like don't let the money drive you to be a freaking badass coach. Right, the money will come. Like I knew it was going to come eventually when I got my first shot and opportunity, but don't let that blind you from what the real goal is, man. Coaching and mentoring young men, young adults to be better people, and it goes a long way.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. Powerful stuff, Coach. Any final advice on coaching, teaching, leadership for the good of the community?
Be authentic. Be yourself. Find new ways. Find different ways to, get the point across. I'm still learning as I grow, today and finding different ways that's going to correlate with, athletes and, always be a sponge, man. Always be a sponge. Like if I'm being honest, I learn something new from my head coach every day, man. And I'm taking that, I'm adding it to my tool belt and I'm trying to find ways for me to do it, to be authentic, but to get the point across, right? And, mistakes are going to happen, man. They're going to happen. And you just got to be able to, take one on the chin if it's a big mistake or you got to learn from it. So I think just be yourself and, always represent where you come from. Always use that as your best recruiting tool because everybody loves that I come from Hawaii and I have tribal tattoos and my sons have cool names. But, other than that, no, man, that's all I got.
Hey, I appreciate you hopping on.
No, man,
That was a good conversation, and I'm glad that had the other coach drop out yesterday, and you just sent me the message the night before. I was like, it's perfect, meant to be,
meant to be, brother, meant to be.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm gonna be following your journey, brother, and I wish you a lot of success and keep at it. All right.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on, man, and shout out to the fam, and keep doing your thing, man. I've been watching, man. I've been always watching and keeping up, dude. It's awesome. You're bringing on some pretty good people, man. Some legends too, back in the day.
I appreciate it. I'll get it released on Saturday.
Gotcha.
Saturday at noon. I'll have it released. I'll make sure to tag you, all that
Awesome.
good stuff. All right,
Perfect,
man.
man. Appreciate you,
Yep.
brother.
Appreciate you, bro. Take
Have a
care.
good night.
Okay, a lot.